but the life they endured made it better for us. We honor their sacrifice and the freedom they bought for we. But some descendants of slaves use that to fuel their rage. It doesn't matter what your skin color, when we bleed blood it's red the same. Let's respect and love one another. When our brothers cry we must feel the pain. We Portuguese, Africans and Indian, we Chinese mixed up, we're Amerindian, we're all Guyanese. Let's end this segregation. I'm appealing to Guyanese in the diaspora. We welcome you home, we've got a lot to offer. It's not the same place that you run away from. Come see the paradise Guyana has now become. Investors are here and they're building, infrastructures are all you see, creating plenty job opportunities, pumping money in the economy. Guyana on the rise to prosperity, education, healthcare for everybody. President Ali, building one Guyana for we.
Good night, good night, good night, Facebook. Let me see. Look as though I will have to restart this entire thing. Cause stream to Facebook is limited. So I want to get this stream up and running, because I don't know why it's restricted, but I want you guys to bear with me if this feeds end, because let me see, I'm not seeing it. There's what's going on there. So the feed is not public. Right? I don't know what's going on. Trying, can't get it to go. Okay. Try again. So let's see this. Okay. So, right. Supposed to get it now. Save it. Okay, good night. Good night, good night, Facebook. Sorry for the little technical difficulties that we would have suffered just now, but all seems to be well. And I would like to say a special good night to the people here in Linden and Region 10. Good night to the people in Aichuni, Kukwani, Araima, Develt, all the way in the Berbice River. Every single riverine community that is broadcast reaches. And good night to the people from region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. My friends in the Caribbean, good night to you. A special good night to you. And a special good night to the people in the wider diaspora. You know, let's get messages from people as far as Bangladesh and some strange countries, you know, that I didn't even believe would have been tuned into Point Blank. But it's Point Blank, so what else can you expect? Um, Even when I'm having low numbers, you have these people from these faraway countries listening, and you know, it's testimony to the fact that Guyanese are all across this globe, all across this globe, Guyanese. And you know, and people are paying keen attention to what's going on in this land, this beautiful land of ours. Not only the foreigners are excited about what's going on here, you know. There are some Guyanese who have been abroad for years and years and years that are very much excited about what's going on here. And I just hope that one of these days um, they have an opportunity to come back and partake in what's happening here. You know when you leave somewhere and you go for years and you come back and you see improvement to your community, improvement. Um, you there's this feeling of real joy. But if you come back and you see that the place has run down, it's now dilapidated, and everything seems to be out of place, then you develop that sense of you know despair, and you don't even want to be in the community. And that is why a lot of people who went away in the early 70s and 80s, you know, when they came back for the first time after experiencing First World, and they came back here for the first time, what they would have seen when they come back, some of them vowed to never come back to this land of ours. Today, it has changed drastically, significantly, from our road networks to the buildings that are going up in this country. I would like to encourage each and every person who would have spent more than 15 years out of this country to come back. Come back on a vacation. Come and experience what people are taking for granted. You know, when you're born and grow up in something and nothing bothers you because you know this is what you know. This is what you know. And we are experiencing that at the moment because the 23 years of the PPP reign before the 5 years from 2015 to 2020 under the APNU led by the PNC, the only thing they know is to take it backward. But on the 23 year of the PPP reign, people who would have left this country 15, 20 years ago, let me tell you something, people. It is not the same country that you would have left. And for those who would have just left 5, 6 years ago under the APNU again, I can tell you this: if you come back now, you would be shocked, and you in particular would get more of a shock than anyone else because it is only a few short years ago, 8 years ago, when you would have experienced a decline in what our country was when the PPP reigned, and then APNU took it over, and then they start the backward march, you know, by the brigadier. I know what kind of soldier does march backward, but it was a backward march by the brigadier. What's this? So I'm saying to you that come back, come home, and experience for yourself. Don't let nobody tell you anything. And you see the likes of Rickford Burke and Mark Benchcop and those guys who in America for a significant period of time. I pity them. I pity them because they don't know. They don't know. And to some extent, as I always get problem with this Norman Brown, this idiot. With the name of that idiot, Norman Brown. So I encourage these guys to come home. Be it what you have to face, whether you have to face a charge for extortion, whatever. Come home and experience what Guyana is today, because you guys are overseas and there is this narrative in your head that Guyana is somewhat a backward and a, a place that you know it when you left under the PNC. So you can't fathom what's going on here because you're not experiencing it. When you left here, you left here under the PNC where things were bad. Things were really, really bad. Our country, at that time when Rickford Ward left this country was regarded one of the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Poorest, was challenging 80 for the bottom spot. And today, you guys want to sit in America and conduct lies and then go to the United Nations and make falsified reports about what's going on in our country, talking about apartheid and this and everything that's negative. And you know something? You know what's ironic about the United Nations and that fool that came here to speak, not came here, but speak at the United Nations conference where our president, the other day, man, where Minister of Governance was there, and they shoot those questions to the minister. But let me tell you something. You see, the United Nations, they should be the least of all bodies across this world to speak anything about human rights in any country. Any country. Today, today, the human rights atrocities that are taking place in Gaza, in Palestine, Gaza and the West Bank, the human rights atrocities that are taking place in Palestine by Israel. Israel is on a roll to obliterate and annihilate an entire nation where they're killing babies at a rate more than 10 babies a day are being killed with impunity. And the United Nations, who wants to come and lecture Guyana on human rights atrocities, a place where people enjoy freedom, life to its fullest and best, and then they want to speak upon human rights atrocities here while they turn a blind eye on what's going on in Gaza. I mean, even if the United Nations are speaking on things that are going on in Gaza, the United Nations proves to be powerless when it comes to Israel that is backed by the United States of America. Powerless. And they want to speak upon what's going on here. Something that they can hardly identify any crime to speak about. But no, they believe Guyana is a weakling. So they will jump on a limb. You know, there's an old saying, we grew up knowing, Granny, everybody tell me, you know. Hear what I say? They say, something wrong here, boy. Well, what happened there, boy? Why the computer shut down, boy? computer stay just on shutdown. I can't imagine. Just like that and shut right down. Yes, I was saying though, monkey know which limb for jump on. Monkey know which limb for jump on. And there's a classic case of what's going on with the United Nations when you compare what's going on in Palestine with the Palestinian and the Israelis and what's going on in Guyana and the so-called atrocities that the people are facing here in Guyana. But I cry shame. Shame on the United Nations. Shame on the United Nations. And when it comes to Palestine, you know, I have my own philosophy. And when I think about Palestine, I think about the Muslim countries, the powerful Muslim countries, the countries like Iran and Iraq and well, not so much Iraq, but Iran and Lebanon and Jordan and those countries that surround Israel and even Pakistan and those countries, and why they are allowing Israel to continue what they are doing to the Palestinians without any answer. I mean, why? I mean, I could have never been a leader for one of those nations and sit by and watch Israel behave the way they're behaving. No, man. They would have got to be engaged. I would have engaged them somewhat, because the killings has got to come to an end. Got to. And if it wasn't coming to an end by a peaceful resolution, we would have had an outright arms conflict, because what they're doing is wrong. And no day I would sit by as a leader with certain powerful material in my hands and allow that kind of thing to go on. That, not at all. So when you see Israel is going on the way it's going on, I cry shame upon them other countries, man. Jordan and King Hussein and all of them will have material. It's little Lebanon and Hezbollah and them choke up rockets in Israel, just get them scattering. Can you imagine a country such as Iran, the might of Iran and those countries, giving Israel a tackle for bring them to subjection and let them understand that them alone it get this kind of force in the world? No, you got to get people to confront them to bring this to an end. And I mean, why not? I've been hearing different people calling every single day in the world for a ceasefire, a ceasefire. They're blowing up trucks with milk. They're blowing up food. They're killing people with impunity, every single thing. And what? No, nobody can confront them. None. People, leaders of powerful Muslim nations. I'm not a Muslim, but I stand on the side of humanity. And what they're doing is wrong. Is wrong. And they're not looking for a peaceful resolution. They're looking to get other countries involved so as to broaden the war. And if that is what they're begging for, give them. Give them. You believe it's joke? For watch innocent lives go down, babies, mothers, fathers holding their dead babies and crying out, Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar. People watch. It's time to wake up and fight. I mean, the Palestinians are powerless and they can't fight. They can't fight. But what about those who claim to support Palestine? Just watching. I don't want no lip service and support with no mouth. I want you go there and fight for them and put an end to these atrocities that is going on for way too long. Putin and all them though, that have real military might. I know Putin get you own war upon your hand, but Jesus Christ, man. You're gonna watch them people slaughter them people every day without a response? No, no. You should engage them and bring this thing to an end once and for all. No. You see, I titled this show tonight Back in Time. Let me tell you how why it's back in time. You know, I was having a discussion today with a friend, and some of the things he spoke about, I can vividly remember the days of old, the early 80s and into the 90s, before the PPP took office in 1992, how difficult it was for some people to have a simple breakfast. This country was well short of basic commodities. When you talk about things like like flour and oil, you know what was our main source of oil? I mean, it's not a bad source, perhaps it's the best source, but when you have to use it by force, then it becomes bad. Coconut oil, that was the main source of oil. It was used for all kind of things, cooking, this, that, the other. To the point where when you hear about coconut oil today, like you don't want to hear nothing about it because you experience coconut oil in all its form. Its rancidness, it's every single thing. You experience coconut oil. Coconut oil is not what we know today, where you will take your time and boil this oil and thing, and it's a good oil. Nothing is wrong with coconut oil. But when we had to use it, when we had to use it through the extreme hardship by the Burnham regime, the same PNC today, we're talking about poverty in Guyana. The same PNC that is talking about poverty in Guyana, they seem to want to blot out when real poverty existed in this country in the late 1970s, 80s, and early 90s. The hardship that we went through under the Burnham regime, the Desmond Hoyt and the Hamilton Greens of this world. You had a prime minister named Ptolemy Reed. My goodness, this man was brutal. Bread was a thing in the mine. They had no wheat bread in this country in those times. If anybody find you with a little piece of flour, it's jail. The police, they used to beat you so bad if you only the thought about having something to eat called bread or anything foreign. A sardine, you couldn't get sardine, corned beef, them kind of thing there was licks. Licks in this country. You had to struggle. You had to line up for stink fish. You understand? I see the president went to Meadowbank Wharf the other day and engaged the fisher folks down there. Folks, hold a second, please. 1 second. I get this man bring this car from the wash bay. Hold a second, 1 second. Sorry about that, my folks. Sorry. Yes, you know, I was saying that that is. I was talking about the lining up, for the fish. And let me tell you something, it wasn't no easy line up for the fish, you know. The line had to be straight like an arrow. They got people used to walk the line with cow pistol and beat you if you only step out of line. I mean, this country was such, and you never hear the United Nations human rights body spoke of these atrocities that people face in this country. You never heard of it. Never. People were whipped in a line for basic food commodities. People were whipped, and you never hear anything about this. Today, the United Nations want to tell us about atrocities in Guyana. I see Norton walking around the other day with a white man somewhere in Sophia, identifying some people in some squatting shacks and this and that, the other. Norton needs to walk. And you know, he's right. Norton is right. You know why? They're running out of time to expose them kind of little shack and them kind of thing. They're running out of time, so they gotta run everywhere, quick. This is what's going on in Guyana, da da da. He is right. Because let me tell you something. This country is so much on a fast track that guess what? We get communities where 200 and 300 houses are being built. Low income houses for our people. And you're seeing them carrying these people and show them this is what is happening in Guyana. And it is hurting us as an opposition because it seems like we won't have an opportunity to get back in government based on the nice things that this government is doing. It is hurting. They got to learn to tell the truth, carry the people where progress is immense. And let the world see. But, I mean, they go find one foolish white man for bring up wrong and tell nonsense. But the greater majority of the people who is looking at Guyana is seeing a country transform before their eyes. The transformation of the country is undeniable. And you don't gotta go far to explain it. It is right before your eyes. In every nook and cranny, you can see things are happening all across this beautiful land. A place where we all want to be a part of. Look at the Independence Boulevard. The Vice President was there the other day. A wonderful, wonderful spectacle for the world to see. Nothing going there. Nothing carrying the white man there for show here what happens. This is what's going on here in this country. Drive down the Heroes Highway and let them see the level of transformation that our country is going through. Nothing going there at all. But you know, I feel sorry for Norton because a drowning rat will clutch at a straw. And when you see the lights of Risedale Ford coming up against Norton, well, that only exemplifies the depth to which the party have sunk. But when you see Fordy coming up against Norton, Norton know that his days are numbered. His days are numbered. And if I was Norton in the position, I would have tried a Granger by I would have locked out certain people and get a gunman for fire 2 shots. Remember Granger do Sharma Salomon and the crew from Linden? Granger was in fear that he's going to lose the leadership to Sharma Salomon. The man get gunman for fire couple shot, lock them out to the Congress place. And if Norton learned something there, then anything will happen to you, look for it. And if Norton does something like that, it is not something unheard of in the PNC. It is traditional. So Norton can go ahead and do anything like that because it forms part of their tradition that Congress does always end up in a mess. So Norton shouldn't break tradition and let Fordy do as he want. Go and brace me by. Defend your portfolio. You are leader of the PNC and leader of the opposition here in Guyana. You gotta make your wait. You gotta do your thing and make your wait for. Yo, there's enough about Lil Norton, you know. I was talking about the atrocities that we suffered under the PNC in this country that people today are taking for granted. You know, at one time, right, um, our hospital, we had this one main hospital called Georgetown Hospital. And I mean, people from every part of Guyana used to end up at this hospital. It don't happen today. For the simplest of things, people used to end up at the Georgetown Hospital. Today we have regional hospitals in all the regions, Linden and region New Amsterdam and Region 5, wherever they have an hospital. And we are building 12 more brand new hospitals in order to support our health system. You see, health under the PNC back in them days, though, was a disaster. You were telling you? Was a disaster. Almost 70% of this nation, the people had white mouth. Almost 70% of this nation. And they get people who will try to dispute this thing. But guess what? The story is there. The horror stories are there. People suffer immensely in this country. Basic food commodities was a no-no. People lack basic nutrition. And you know, when you lack nutrition, what happens? Your body responds in a certain way. The body responds in a certain way. And our people were made to go through some of the harshest medical conditions that they experience any part of the world. Sometimes you watch a child, man, the belly big, big, big in front of them. You want to know, some of them make it adulthood and you want to know how. How? Because this nation was always a praying nation and a nation that always turned to the grace of God. And that was one of the things that kept us. You know why our population remained a certain way for a very, very long time? Because the infant mortality rate of this country back in those days were more than 50%. Can you imagine, for every 100 babies that born, at least 60 used to die before the age of 5? Can you imagine that? And these people want to school us now about atrocities and hardship in a country. Do they remember how many babies used to die? For every 10 babies born, at least 6 used to die before the age of 5. I can't make these things up. These things are well documented and you can Google it. The infant mortality rate of in Guyana during the 70s and 80s. Check it out. Check it out. You will see the kind of hardship that our people went through. You know how many of you, my age, lose siblings, cousins, and all kind of thing to some basic illnesses. We used to get a thing called measles and mumps and all them kind of thing though. Measles and mumps. Today, those things are a thing of the past because our healthcare system is so equipped to deal with this kind of thing. We don't hear little children dying today unless it's some drowning or some kind of thing. We don't go through those things. We used to know when a child died, you hear they die from something called beriberi. You watch a child toonie big, big so. He head big, he ain't got no shoulder. Something called rice walk. And we going down in this country, down. And we had leaders who fortify themselves with our resources. It's not today Guyana get resources, you know. Guyana may have found oil now, but it's not today Guyana had resources that could have made them one of the richest countries in the world. We always had resources. But guess what? We had some leaders back in those days, man, that can you imagine a nation impoverished and the leader died, the third richest black man in the world? Where he get the money from? Where did he get this money from? Can you imagine that? Died the third richest black man in the world, and your entire nation impoverished. You know, when a country loses a leader, people mourn and people wept. You know, when Barnum died, when the news of Barnum's death hit the country, people were applauding in the streets. People were celebrating his death. People were saying that God don't come, but he does send. People excited about the passing of Barnum during that time. I mean, it was such a, it was, I couldn't understand what would have made people celebrate the death of a man like that. I was 13 years old, I think. I think I was 13 or 14. Yes? And talk about dictatorship. Talk about dictatorship. Barnum. Oh my gosh. Shivraj. A man named Shivraj bringing a car. The first limousine in this country. Barnum take away the car and lock it up at Central Garage. Lock it up. He said no car in this country mustn't be bigger than his own. No car, nobody must get no car in this country bigger than his own. I tell you, lock up the man car. And when he died, that's when I give the man his car. I tell you, that was the nastiness of a brutal dictator called Barnum. A brutal dictator. You go by a man house, the man house had 100 windows. He tell the man, close one. Because the only house in this country must have 100 windows was he own. He sent carpenters and bar up the man window. No more window. Barnum. You ever hear the story of the Palm Tree cinemas and the Melanie cinema? A man built 5 cinemas around this country. An investor built 5 cinemas at the time. And Barnum allowed the man for build the cinemas. And say what happened? The government gotta be a partnership with this say so. And here what gonna happen now? You gonna get 49% of the proceeds of the cinema, and the government takes 51%. Advantage the man. The man get a heart attack and dead, man. Dead. And they take over the people's cinema. It's how they end up with Harlem Cinema, Melanie and Palm Tree and all of that. It was another stroke of advantage taken on an ordinary citizen of this country. Leonard Baker, you telling me I lie? If you're old enough and you get conscience, I sit down here on point blank and I would never tell a lie. And if you're old enough and you get conscious, unless you're a PNC rail, a real PNC dog, you would tell me I lie. But if you're old enough and you get conscience, you would know and you would remember exactly everything what happened. Lie? Think I get time for lie on point blank. Whenever I shooting from this angle, so I will know. Once I'm shooting from point blank, I make sure that the story is straight. What? Man, I hope it's not me these people talking to, but Black Devil and all them kind of things. I hope it's not me. Anyhow, people, that's why I don't read these comments, because I don't want to respond to these people directly. But if people are having their conversation within the chat and they are going at each other, well, then so be it. But I haven't been following every comment. I can't follow every comment and do the program. But when I glance and I see certain things, you are a devil. You are a devil. You are a devil. Me know it's nobody can be talking to me. I love them. Chanja Paul Moabi telling it, man. If it's me you're talking to, just say it's me you're talking to. You are a mad man. What? This body gotta be a youth man, boy. This body you know nothing. Talking shit. You are talking. What? Can't take no phone call. So. Yes, my people. As I was saying though, yeah, we went through a lot. We went through a lot in this country, and the people today, the young people today, are taking a lot of things for granted. 1 second, let me see what it's called about. This body too steady. Hello, good night. Yeah, good night. Yes. Yeah, but 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 listen to me. I on the live, and you can't interrupt me like this right now. Yes, sorry about that, but that was an interesting caller. You know what the man says? That when Barnum died, that the country was in $2 billion US in arrears, and that's not no lie. Our debt to GDP was 182%. Our debt to GDP was 182%, and that's not no lie. It was the prudence of the PPP that brought down those debts and the astuteness of the same Barrett Jagdeo that they want to crucify today that created magic for multiple debt write-off that Guyana benefited from. Its astuteness as a finance minister, multiple debt write-off. And a former president of this country. And today, every single time they open their mouth, Barajagdio, Barajagdio, bad. What was it this thing? I mean, I can understand the opposition want to get rid of Barrett so bad because, there is this myth. There is this myth in the opposition that if they remove Barrett Jagdio from the equation, that the PPP will collapse. That's a myth. It is not going to happen. Contrary to what you guys believe. I want you to know that they get some more ruthless politicians under the wings of Barry Jack. You're waiting to take up the reign and the mantle. And then you will see the complete annihilation of the entire APNU. Because let me tell you something, them young politicians in the PPP, they are sharp and aggressive. You know what holding them back? Barjagdio. His calmness, his demeanor. And the respect that those politicians under, that second tier politicians under Barjagdio, the amount of respect that they get for you, that they just got to humble themselves because the Grandmaster is still in control. And there's no safe in all you. You're making joke. The general secretary, nah, boy, we can't go down the road there. That man ain't gonna condone this, say so. Mm? And when everybody, when I listen to people, the opposition side of people, oh, Barajagyo, you don't tell Ali something. Without Barajagyo in this country, I might experience a different rat. Different rat. The way I let us rush up to Barrett and this and that, I think I can rush up to the lights of, I really want to call him youth man name. But as I said to the lights of, and I say youth man, I'll figure it out. Figure it out. Because they get some brutal youth man in this political game here, so in the PPP wings. And when the time come and they become the leaders and the general secretary of the party, all you can rush up. All you can rush up. It won't be easy. It won't be easy. And let me tell you something. Again, I on point blank and I ain't telling lies. I'm not telling lies. Hmm. I take a pause a little bit to read a little comment. I mean, sometimes it's a shameful story when you see some people commenting to tell me I telling lie and this and that, telling lie. Telling lie. Something got wrong with this Chanjapal Mahabir, by something got wrong with it. You know what? I feel like I touch on this topic a little more often, because a lot of people like Chanjapal Mahabir seems to 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 forget to forget. He needs an almost everyday reminder of the things that our country went through under the PNC. He needs an everyday reminder. I think I got to touch on this topic a little more often and let him know the things that this country been through. And it's time. I think it is time for some of the older folks to start letting their grandchildren understand what this country been through, to let their children themselves understand what this country been through. Because anybody that born after 1992 would have a different perception of the things that we went through in this country. You make joke when you couldn't even go to an hospital and get a Panadol. Some people die in this country for little or nothing in terms of medical. Little or nothing. Some people didn't have to die for the things that they died for. Betty Kitt is saying that she's 72 years old and she lived through the Burnham days and it was horror. Horror! And this Chandapal Moabir wants to come here to tell me that I telling lies. Me, on point blank, you sit down and wait for the lies. You gotta go on Shara Duncan show and Mark Benchcop show and listen to lies. That's how you gotta go and listen to lies. Not here on point blank. This is a truthful platform. And anytime I come out here and I fire, you better believe it. Do a survey and you will find out how truthful I am. I shouldn't worry if me engage you because enough people tell you how you're foolish already. Enough people. Look at these people. My mother was a teacher. My mother taught under the PNC. My mother was a teacher, and I could tell you some of them schools, man. Not some. Almost all of the schools in this country. First thing, when Barnum was alive, here the man do. The man make sure all the secondary schools in this country wore the same uniform. It was like a military setup. No matter what school you went to, your uniform was green and white. They had, I think, one or two schools that rebelled, like St. Joseph and I think St. Stanislaus College. I think them two schools were rebelled against this situation. But the general school population had to wear one color. When you're in secondary school, you wear a green and white. And when you're in primary school, you wear a brown and cream. And that was the reality of things in this country. You had to be military. You were the whole country, the whole school system was placed in a military setting. Military setting. You're making joke? There was no freedom whatsoever. You can't say, well, you go into Annandale Secondary and you were allowed to wear your brown and cream as a secondary school, or you went to, you name the school in this country, man. You name the school that didn't have to transform their uniform. And as soon as Barnum dead, let me tell you what happened. How some of the people within the own cabinet was so against what Barnum was about that within weeks after his death, the entire nation, all them schools start change back to their old uniform. You know, they want to be identified for who they were and not placed under one umbrella by a dictator. And even some of the leaders within the PNC then didn't agree. Hamilton Green, who was the he was the prime minister. He was the prime minister then. No, he wasn't prime minister then. He was the minister of agriculture or something like that. Hamilton Green. But he had I think he had one daughter at Bishops. And when Barnum died in 85, Nadata Green had just passed to go to President's College on the East Coast. And strangely, you know, President's College, by how Barnum they set up the school and thing, nobody was supposed to be saying prayers and all of that in the school. And when President's College opened, I was at Golden Grove Secondary at the time, and I went to the opening of President's College. And let me tell you something. When Hamilton Green hit the podium, it was somebody was reading the program, and Hamilton Green asked, where is the prayers or the program? And they were told that the comrade leader said that no prayers would be said at this school. And the man said, what? The man said, well, let me tell you something. Prayers would be said here every single day. Hamilton Green stamped the authority in the death. After Barnum died, Hamilton Green stamped the authority. Yeah, man. I remember, you see Viola Barnum and them all them was some wicked women, you know. Because I tell you something. Them mean get no man can operate the way Barnum operate anytime the wife stand up to them. Wives don't be easy, you know. Wives don't be easy. And if you want to stay with your wife, you're going to listen to shit, or is a divorce catching you. Wives don't be easy. Wives don't be easy. And the way Barnum operated throughout his tenure, you know his wife was complicit in his behavior. And it says about Granger too, when they tried to rig the election and hold on to that thing for 5 months. You see, if his wife was a straight wife and a good wife, guess what? He couldn't do it. Because good wives don't allow men to go bad. They don't. Good wives always find a way to say, no, you are wrong. Anytime you see you heading down a wrong road and you get a woman behind you for saying, right, I think we should go down the road there. Nah, something wrong. Something wrong. So a lot of the times when you see these men performing, once they get wife, something wrong with a wife by. Wives don't allow husbands to go astray. Not for money, not for fame, not for nothing in this world. Women just feel a sense of responsibility and a way to protect the integrity of their husbands. Hmm? Me ain't got no wife now, but I live with a woman. And let me tell you something. If I dare to come up with any thought, you just hear she in the background, I don't think you should do that. I don't think that's a good idea. It doesn't have to be that way. And I mean, that's when you know that decisions don't be made alone as a man. Decisions don't be made alone. Decisions does be made with a partner. And no matter how robust a man walk out there and push up his chest and thing and so, some decisions are made by wives. Who's gonna call in a straight up? Sometimes glad for reason. Free housing in Durban Park. Now I think we get better thing for doing Durban Park, you know. You know, you see place like Durban Park, I would build a multi, a high-rise car park, something like 10 to 12 stories, a big car park. And I would eliminate the parking in the city. You know where all them vehicles be parked up on the city streets and so you give them alternative parking. You put something in Durban Park, build a high rise, a real high rise car park there, and then you have buses working from the car park to the heart of the city. So when people park their vehicle all day, they going to walk. If they want to move, they catch a bus from right on Durban Street or Home Stretch Avenue there, and you head downtown and clean up the streets. All them streets with them car all over the place. It needs cleaning up. It needs cleaning up. And Durban Park is a good place. Durban Park must not only be a place for clowns. I think Durban Park get better usage than a clown space. I mean, when you see what the APNU, what David Granger did to Durban Park, right? It's a waste of good space. You understand? A waste of good space. Yeah. And I think that the government should. And let me tell you something. You see a car park. If you park for $50 an hour, right? You make a car park to take off something like 1,000 cars easily, floor after floor after floor, 10 floors, 100 cars per floor, 1,000. Yeah, you will do a fantastic job. I mean, I'm not saying that people can't stop anywhere on the streets in Georgetown, what the case is. But this lengthy parking, you see some car park up one spot for 8 hours. That shouldn't be allowed. You know, people must be allowed to just pull up, spend a little 5 minutes wherever, go and do what they gotta do. From the time you gotta use your space for half an hour, go to the car park. Go and pay your $50. And let me tell you, car parks just make real revenue, you know. And I'd be surprised that a place like the town council and them in taking up the initiative and build, you know. Town council get land. They could build high-rise car park and so and make money and reduce the woes That tell a little something, but I see a man talking about Bornham House on the East Coast. Bornham House on the East Coast is at a place called Bellback, right? And Bornham, that house attracted some backlands. And Bornham had the prisoners and them, cause they got the man carry a prison, to Bellback so that he can utilize the prisoners to plant a farm that he had down there. And they used to plant pigeon peas. He was a lover of pigeon peas, Bornham. And they used to plant pigeon peas and any other little thing what they could plant. But when then they used to get amples, something called amples, where they just put together a bottle of oil, 2 pounds of sugar, a pound you can imagine this country was a country without salt. Salt was a scarce thing in this country. You get a pound of salt, right? And you used to go to Bornham residence, Bellback, for a chit. And when you get this chit, you used to go in the farm and pick pigeon peas and, and carry back the pigeon peas to Bellback with the chit so that you can get your ample. And it's not because you're getting this ample for free. You got to pay for this ample. But in order for you to get this ample, you got to make sure you go and do manual labor, 4 hours in the farm of picking pigeon peas. So when you left home at 5 o'clock in the morning, you ain't getting back home before 2 o'clock in the day, You all day done. You're gone and slave for this dictator. Slave out like a jackass for this dictator. And then you carry your chit. And a lot of times, right? When you reach up with this chit, your amper done. Let me get no amper for you. And when you just exchange the amper, give you another color and tell you, well, come back so day, forget that next amper. But let me tell you something. Them kind of things that we've been through in this country, yes, sir. And our young people today are taking it for granted. While they get idiots like Chanjapal, Mohabir, telling lies on this point blank. True. It's comments. I can imagine what you would say to your children and grandchildren by. When I meet up with people like this, I just feel like vomit. Vomit. Literally vomit. But it's my program time. And tonight I want to thank each and every one of you who would have stayed on this program tonight. And I will ask you to continue to support the program as I come on point blank and tell you truth. I said, if I am going to speak from point blank and I will shoot, I will not miss. Because the point blank means to hit from close range. Again, I want to say thank you very much. And I enjoy every single one of you here tonight. And I ask that when I come on Wednesday, when it will be calling Wednesdays on point blank, that you continue to support the program and make a contribution. Call in. Let it be told. The truth be told as we continue to build a wonderful nation. And, we couldn't ask for a better leader at this point in time than the one that that God has blessed us with. I will tell you the truth, when the General Secretary and the Central Committee of the PPP decided that the leader was going to be Mohammed Irfan Ali, I had my reservations. I had my reservations because I thought to myself that this guy is somewhat of a young leader. I was more thinking that they would have gone for somebody like a more experienced leader, like Mohamed Mandalal or Frank Anthony. Some one of those guys continue to play in my head at that time. But let me tell you something. Based on what we are experiencing under this leader, I believe the best choice was made. And it's not to discredit the other leaders that I spoke about, It's not to discredit them in any way. I still believe that if they are given an opportunity, that they will be great leaders too. But at this point in time, what we are experiencing under this leader, Guyana, is in for a glorious, glorious ride. Brothers and sisters, again, I would like to thank you very much for being on this program. And as I continue to come here, I ask for your continuous support as we move forward in strength and build this country up. Build this country up. Once again, thank you very much. It was nice being here. God bless and peace out.